Hey everybody, it's Adam with the Pattaya News. It is the end of July today. Thank you as always for looking in on what's popping in Pattaya. Now, the thing that we want to talk about and that we want to do first is today, as we're filming this, is the 28th of July, 2023, and it's His Royal Majesty the King's birthday. We wanted to wish him a very happy and safe birthday. We also wanted to state that today marks the beginning of a 6-day holiday weekend. When you're actually watching this video, you'll be right in the beginning of this weekend, more than likely. The days that you need to most keep in mind are going to be the 1st and the 2nd of August next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Those particular days are religious holidays. And because of Thai law, that also means, wait for it, bars will be closed and alcohol sales will be illegal for 2 days in a row. We know some of you guys are already panicking because we've seen the comments and messages and don't know what they're going to do with themselves. But from the evening of the 31st, it's unsure whether or not they'll let it stay open past midnight. But technically, from midnight on the 31st until midnight on the 2nd, bars and entertainment venues will be closed. Restaurants will be open, as will some sports bars and places, but you cannot purchase alcohol. So that's something to keep in mind for those days. Also, immigration will be closed all the way until the 3rd. They're normally closed on weekends, but for those of you that were hoping to get in early next week, it's going to be closed for this entire 6-day holiday weekend. And honestly, if you can wait a couple days, do not show up on the 3rd. That's just a pro tip for you from myself, because it's going to be a madhouse in terms of crazy, crazy busy, because everybody that forgot about the holiday weekend and then has to get something done right away. So let's jump right into the top news stories that we had in the past week. It was an interesting week, not as busy as some of our prior weeks, but there were a couple stories that we thought that you might be interested in. First off, so we've been covering over the last couple weeks the murder of a German businessman here in Pattaya, Hans-Peter Mack, who was found murdered and chopped up and put inside a freezer inside a villa in Pattaya. Now, 4 main suspects and 1 non-primary suspect were arrested in that particular situation. Police state that the alleged ringleader of this operation, although he hasn't admitted to anything and is not talking to police, he's going to let the talking take place in court, is a gentleman named Olaf Brinkman. Well, in the last week or so, police have also been looking at motorcycle clubs because they state that Mr. Brinkman was closely associated with one such motorcycle club chapter in Pattaya, the Outlaws. And over the last week, they have arrested multiple people, and they state that they're going to be arresting and rounding up and deporting many, many more. Now, none of these people that were arrested is for the crime of the murder, or none of them are actually being told or being accused of being involved in the murder of Mr. Mack. However, this incident, unfortunately, has caused police to look at all motorcycle clubs, keeping in mind that, there's good people everywhere and there's bad people everywhere. Many motorcycle clubs in the area, as people constantly remind us, do a lot for charity. But police's focus is not those clubs, but clubs where some members may be committing illegal activities or committing crimes. They're also looking at club members that may be utilizing their visas incorrectly, such as retirement, but still making money and bringing in money through various illegal sources or working illegally. So that's taken place and is expected to continue to take place over the next few weeks. Another big story that we had, and it's been a big story for about 10 years. The Waterfront condo on Bali High Pier. We're sure many of you have seen this. I mean, how could you not? It's a massive eyesore. It's a big derelict condo, about 54 stories worth, at the Bali High Pier that's been derelict since about 2014 when they stopped construction. Now, I don't have time to get into the whole story here. You can search Waterfront on our website and see many articles that we did about this particular situation. The thing to know, though, is that for the first time in about a year and a half, it's back in the news again because now the National Anti-Corruption Commission has stated that Pattaya's former mayor, way back in 2008, may have been involved in what they say was corruption by illegally giving the contract to the land, whereas that land is actually part of the Buddha Hill, Pratamak Hill area, and is not supposed to be utilized for condos, according to what the Anti-Corruption Commission said. So this is yet another legal case and a huge series of legal cases that have dominated the headlines for many years. There's literally over 100 legal cases involving this building. That's also why it hasn't been taken down, despite a Supreme Court order to knock down the building. The question around that, though, is who's going to pay for it? Because now the former company claims that they're bankrupt and the city doesn't want to pay for bringing the building down. So the question is, who pays for bringing down the waterfront? What do you think? When do you think the waterfront will actually finally come down? We want to hear what you have to think. Another big story that took place over the past week, this took place in Jomtien. It was shockingly in broad daylight at a shop house and a coffee shop located almost to Jomtien, in which a former Thai League football referee, who is fairly well known, murdered a 51-year-old Thai woman right in the coffee shop area and then took his own life in front of stunned lifeguards, passerby, and Good Samaritans who had heard the woman screaming and came to try to assist. Now, as of press time, police have still not stated what caused this particular incident, although they suspect that it might have been some sort of relationship issues. The woman was actually married to a different man, and they have several children together. But what's interesting is that the woman itself is suspected that she may have had a romantic tryst on the side with the man who shot her. Now, police are still looking into this entire situation to figure out exactly what happened, and hopefully we'll have updates for that in the future. Rest in peace, and to all those affected, our thoughts on that. Now, it is rainy season here in Thailand right now, and finally, over the last week, we've got some rain, including almost 2 or 3 days worth right during the Pattaya Marathon that frustrated many of our viewers and folks around here. But this is going to be ongoing, happens every single year. But with rainy season, also with that comes dengue fever, or dengue fever. We wanted to specifically call that out because it is something that is actually a big issue here in Pattaya as well as Phuket. I've personally had it before, and let me tell you, it is something that you absolutely do not want to get. It was a miserable experience. So you'll see them fogging in and around streets and targeting standing water to try to get rid of mosquitoes, which carry dengue fever, because once you get it, it can be an absolutely miserable experience. So keep your guard up, wear mosquito spray if you have to, but be aware it is that time of year in Thailand. Last but not least that we have for this week was a story that got many, many comments because of the uniqueness of this story, in which a Swiss tourist who was not identified and won't be identified, I'm sure he's very thankful for that, had to call the Pattaya Rescue Services for a rather embarrassing situation in which he caught his area, yes, that area, that sensitive area, inside a lock device, which is basically both a chastity lock device and a device that's also meant to improve performance for private activities. He was unable to release himself from that device, and it was causing him extreme swelling and pain. So he contacted rescue services. This got a lot of comments. We'll throw the picture up there because of the reaction of rescue personnel who, just when you think that they see it all here in Pattaya, they see this. In all seriousness, though, the rescue workers stated that it was a very serious situation. It could have caused him an extreme injury if they hadn't managed to get it off. And the man was reportedly extremely thankful to the rescue services for their hard work in that particular situation. As always, guys, we thank you for tuning in. We'd also like to thank Janet Nightclub, one of our sponsors, for their continued support to the Pattaya News. And make sure you check them out on Walking Street, rain or shine. They're open every single night. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you next week.